Shooting USA is brought to you by SnapSafe and the full line of Trek-Lite lockboxes. Affordable security for home or travel. Get 15% off with code SUSA15 at snapsafe.com.
Welcome again to the Shooting USA YouTube channel. We're glad you're here. An interesting factoid, some of our more popular videos see as many as 75 or 80% of you are not subscribed to our channel. If you like the content you're seeing, please honor us with a subscription. And if you're interested in full-length current episodes of Shooting USA after it airs on the network, there's a link in this video's description to our Vimeo channel. Now, here's the content you came to see.
After World War I, the French developed a new modern cartridge that then needed a new rifle to chamber it. It would come from Manufacture d'Armée de Saint-Étienne, which was quickly shortened to the acronym MAS, M-A-S. Adopted in 1936, the MAS-36 is now one of history's guns. History remembered and sponsored by the Civilian Marksmanship Program. You probably wouldn't choose the word elegant to describe this rifle. Its peculiar dogleg bolt and no-frills construction certainly look rough. But looks are deceiving, and in 1936, this new firearm became the primary service rifle of the French military, the MAS-36.
As unprepossessing as this gun looks, it's a really good little rifle.
For the French, the 1936 MAS military rifle was an all-new design developed from lessons learned in the trenches of World War I.
Prior to this, they were using basically World War I retreads, and the old 8mm Lebel was just not appropriate. The big thing was that they chambered kind of an archaic round used in the 1886 Lebel. It was the first smokeless powder round adopted by any major power. The French used this round with great success prior to, all the way through World War I. But they realized in the 1920s it was getting a little long in the tooth, and so they devised another round. It's called a 7.5 by 54, which is a very modern-looking cartridge. You know, it's rimless and it's a slight tapered round, good caliber. This was used in a machine gun.
Now that the French had a modern cartridge, it made sense to supply their troops with a modern rifle to chamber it.
So what they ended up with was this. Certainly it is not a particularly attractive piece.
Not attractive, but tough, and not like any French military rifle that came before it. The internal magazine held 5 rounds of the 7.5 by 54 cartridge and could be loaded either by stripper clip or one at a time.
It's got a basic 2-lug locking bolt. Easy to operate. Not the strongest in the world, but perfectly adequate for what it had to do. Cool, it has a real interesting rear sight. To adjust the rear sight, you just push down on the aperture and then slide the slide, and it gives you the different ranges. Another kind of interesting feature is that the gun has an integral bayonet. Underneath the barrel, you just slide it out and pop it in. And it's a typical cruciform style that the French adopted in 1886. Germans hated that in World War I because they claimed it was very, very difficult to heal. They called it the damn knitting needle.
Perhaps the oddest looking and most recognizable feature of the MAS-36 is the forward angled bolt handle.
That bolt was so designed because of the configuration of the rifle, it had to go forward to put in the proper position to be manually operated properly.
There was one common feature on other service rifles around the world that the MAS-36 did not have.
It did not have a safety. French military theory being that ammunition would be kept in reserve in the magazine and round would not be chambered until the soldier was commanded to do so. So no safety on the gun.
With its up-to-date features and modern cartridge, the MAS-36 was a welcome advance for the French. And with war clouds gathering in Europe, it gave the infantry new confidence. But a new rifle wasn't enough to save France from the German blitzkrieg.
The French Army itself didn't necessarily distinguish itself in 1940. There was nothing wrong with the rifle, it worked just fine. The Germans actually adopted it and used it as a secondary standard like they did, every country they went into. It was also used by the Vichy French and by the French resistance.
After World War II, the MAS-36 returned to service with the French military.
These guns saw great use, and the Foreign Legion used them, and they were used in Indochina. So the gun had quite a service life well after World War II.
While German and British bolt-action battle rifles saw far more service during World War II, the MAS-36 did hold one particular distinction.
This was probably the last military bolt action adopted by any major power. I can't think of any arm much later than this designed from scratch. It wasn't a modification of something else. It was a very interesting rifle.
Well, you've made it to the end of another Shooting USA video on YouTube, and for that, we thank you. It does help the channel if you subscribe, like, and comment, and that will help us keep the content coming.